Yeah. This is the Legacy League. Tell me what will your legacy be? Yeah.
Guess who's back? The dynamic duo. It is the greatest duo to ever exist in Legacy League history. I don't want to hear anything about Mike Davis or Devon Pratt or any of these other schmucks out there. It's me, Greg Horne, back again for another year with the iconic Connor Sauer, who, as we all know, I'm going to bring it up every year, should have got more minutes for Stranger Danger. Connor, how you doing?
My boy, dude. Glad to be back. The dynamic duo was right. You know, no one's got that same flow as us, Greg. You know, me and you, we've been chopping it up on these pods. We were just talking about going on damn near a decade, right? This winter 25 season is probably going to leak into 2026. I'm pretty sure me and you started off in 2016 together as interns. So pretty cool, man. It's been a decade in the running. Glad to be back. Let's break down some Legacy Leagues preview season this year. It's going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. And for Legacy League previews, it's funny because it's not like traditional sports where you get like a highlight tape on some of the new guys. It's not like they're coming from college or anything. These are just names for a lot of these teams. So let's just get right into it. We got the Winter 25 CT season coming up this Thursday. It's going to be a good one. And we're going to start with a team that we all know and love. Joey, it's going to be early on in the podcast. Let's give a congratulations and a shout out to Joey Zacco for the championship last year. Run TMC is who I'm talking about, and shout out to Run TMC. They're coming out and they're bringing back the fire. You know, when you look at this team, I'll just kind of go through it quick so that everyone can know. We got Joey Zacco coming back, Reggie Stewart, Eric Singleton, Will Hudson, Cody DiLeonardo. Miles Raymond is joining the squad. He is moving over he was on skis and a few other teams. Now he's coming over. Dante Abate is coming back into the league, and then Chad McCoy is coming back in the league. So a lot of familiar faces joining this championship team. They lost a few guys. Connor, I mean, I'll kick it over to you. What kind of stands out? This is an interesting Run TMC team for them to defend their crown with.
First things first, Greg, I kind of wanted you to break out that soundboard and hit that round of applause when you were introducing Run TMC. You know, if you can find that right now while we're doing this, that'd be fantastic. There it is. Well done. Well done. Our fearless host over there getting work done. That's why we love him. But yeah, a couple things jump off at the page at me right away. First thing I noticed, Miles Raymond joining this team. He's played with Dante. He's played with Cody, Reggie. A lot of chemistry already exists playing with those guys. So, you know, a guy who's had some insane games, right? I'm pretty sure he had a 50-point game a season or two ago. He's been an all-star in the past. He's always a hustle guy. He's got a great motor. He had a huge clutch shot last year and a game-winning shot in the moment there on Devin's team. So I know that he brings a lot of good stuff to this roster. You bring back a lot of the guys from the championship. Obviously, Reggie's he's the heart and soul of this team. You got Eric, supplementing him as that probably number 2 option. Will's going to be really good like he was last season. It was great to see Will Hudson have a really strong performance last year after kind of not seeing him for a long time, coming back and picking up right where he left off. But the X factor here, Greg, hiding there at the bottom of this roster, Chad McCoy, Big Shaq is back. And, I love watching Chad, man. He's a lob catching machine. He's going to be a big body on the post for them. He's some players, and with some players in this league that you can just tell, with that height restriction that we have, when you're able to pack as much muscle into a 6'4" frame like Chad has, it's pretty overpowering, and you're going to see probably a lot of his usage down there in the low block. So I'm really looking forward. I think Run TMC potentially might have gotten better, Greg. I'm looking at this roster. I'm trying to think, did they really lose any key pieces? What jumps off to you when you're looking at this roster?
The big one is Eric Langston.
Eric Langston, of course. Eric had a huge shot in the finals.
I feel like that's the one that's big. Trying to think. Brett Cody is a big one.
True.
But was he there? I don't think he was there for the finals.
He wasn't. I think he got hurt, if I remember.
Yeah, I think he was hurt.
He was rooting his boys on.
Yeah.
His brother made an appearance late in the season, but obviously he wasn't playoff eligible. But yeah, Cody's a great player. Is definitely going to be a loss. He's kind of one of those glue guys. I think they were using him a lot off the bench, and nights when they were shorthanded, he was starting and giving them big minutes. So definitely a loss with Brett and Langston. I mean, Langston was everything, right? I mean, he was the game winner in the finals, and He's more so than Eric's actual play on the court. You're gonna miss his personality on this roster, right? Being that
Yeah.
enforcer, the shit talker, the guy that's gonna, you know, get in the other team's head, kind of like the Draymond Green effect. So that's definitely a loss, but nonetheless, a very strong roster for Run TMC coming back as the champs.
Yeah, no, I agree. TMC's doing their thing. Shout out GM Joey Zacco. If Rosinski always calls himself the Bob Myers of the Legacy League, so maybe Joey's the Brad Stevens? I don't know.
Maybe.
Let's and I'm gonna skip. I'm gonna throw Connor off right here for the next team because speaking of Legacy League champions, we got someone who's a hopeful champion. It's the team right below one of the new teams, and I think it's just a good transition to get into the team
I like
that
this.
has been fighting for Legacy League glory these past 2 seasons, and that's Get Money. You know the squad. It's the same exact team from the past 2 seasons. Well, for the first season with that, not the first season they didn't have Kyle Davis, but last year they did have Kyle Davis, and just the same squad we love and know. I mean, you know what you're going to get from this team. You got Tyron, you got Tyshin, you got. I mean, look, we at this point when you have a team like this, it's kind of how it was with Shocker City back in the day and the Flint Boys.
Yep.
You talk about them so much that it kind of sounds redundant, but this team's going to be a hard out. All these new teams get ready to learn Get Money basketball because you're going to have to. And for the older teams, they know when you play Get Money, you can't take them lightly. Don't think you ever have a free championship in this league or a free win because if you're playing Get Money, you better be ready to ball. But Connor, Get Money, I know you love them. Welcome back, right?
Yeah. Let's give these guys a round of applause too, Greg. A championship appearance. I know they didn't come out on top, but man, they made that game as interesting, I guess it could possibly be. I mean, two times being in this league for back-to-back seasons, they've been in the championship both times, right? So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. There's no need to reinvent the wheel here. I think they knew from their first session we needed just one more guy to put us over the top in terms of talent. They got that guy in Kyle Davis. We've always praised them, Greg, for their ability to just mesh and have everybody play their role, especially those guys off the bench. I think, if I had to just guess what was in the McRae brothers' head when they were constructing this roster in the offseason, was that maybe if they added another piece, it might make them better on paper, but it might also disrupt that chemistry, right? All of a sudden, guys on the bench that were giving them key minutes might not be as much of a contributor, and how that would affect, their units, because they do like running, those four-man swaps off the bench. They definitely utilize all their players to their full extent, and sometimes you even see players take a step back when they're not having the game that they want. I saw Armstrong do that a lot. Trevon Ashton, and he was always coming off the bench, and on games where he wasn't feeling it, you saw other players kind of fill more minutes, and on games he was hot, they would give him more roles. So it's going to be interesting to see how they work out their two-man squads, their two four-man lineups, but all in all, this is another great team, and I expect them, like you said, when you're introducing them, to be title contenders once again, because they've given us no reason in their 2 seasons to believe anything different. So another great roster. Really, not much to be said. The McRaes are going to, be the pivotal factors here, with obviously Kyle Davis, a Finals MVP right there, just being, a closer for this team. So I think this is a great roster. It's going to be definitely a contender, and I'm really excited to see them.
Yeah, no, I saw Kyle Davis post an MVP season loading, so it would not shock me if he ended up winning an MVP because that's what he could do. And the same goes for the McRae, same goes Xavier McRae too. Let's give him some respect. He's an incredible player. He really has come into his own. He's got everyone doing the Family Feud. The Des Bryant.
Family Feud.
But let's go on to the next team. Shout out Get Money. They're gonna be getting money a lot this year. I think they're one of the. If we had some Vegas odds out there, they'd be one of the favorites for sure. But we're going to go to a new team. We're going to have some fun with the new team, and it's the FD Ballers. What does FD stand for? I mean, let's guess. I mean, we could guess. I don't know. But I'm going to go through their names. I'm going to shout them out. We got John Gold, Dave Otero, John Bernetti, Nick Green, Junior Jimenez, JT Sullivan, and Griffin Andrews. And I'm going to call my shot right now. John Bernetti is about to be a baller. Kid's going to be averaging 20 and 7 a game. I already know it. Other than that, I have absolutely no idea. A kid in my high school had the last name Otera. John Gold. I mean, hey, we all want to get an Olympic gold medal, right? But besides that, I got nothing. Connor, FD Ballers. What is your vibe?
Well, Greg, you missed out on the key information that would really
Ah,
determine
you're
how good
right.
this team is. He didn't get into the jersey sizes. And in
True.
seasons past, Greg, when we were doing these podcasts for previewing a season, if there was a new team, we really don't have much to work with. And Greg Horne, he's just so smart. He would dive into the jersey sizes that these guys ordered and determine how big a team they are, if they're going to be a perimeter team, an interior team. I'm seeing 4 extra large jerseys, Greg. We might
Big
have some
boys.
size here, dude. We might have some size. FD Ballers, the first thing that came to my mind is maybe these guys all work at a fire department. Maybe these are
Ooh,
some big, strong guys, dude. You never know. We're trying to put the pieces of the
I
puzzle
like
together
that.
here. No, but yeah, we really don't have much to go off of. So we're not going to spend too much time on these guys, but it's always fun to see a new team in the league. They're always going to be an X factor. They might show up and really be a title contender, and maybe they just show up and there's some guys that are just going to have fun and maybe try to disrupt some other people's success throughout the season. So it'll be interesting to see how they are, how they form, how they gel on the court. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But welcome to the league, FD Ballers.
Yeah, FD Baller. Seriously, if you guys are firefighters, just want to say on behalf of the Weekly Rebound, we support our firefighter brother and sisters out there who every day bravely, I guess, defend us. But truly, truly. Uh, the next one we're going to go with is, uh, we're back, aren't we? All right. Lock it in. So we got Yagaville back. This is, I don't know where to begin with Yagaville. So where should we really start? We got the GOAT Mike Davis coming back. I mean, his name speaks for himself in this league. 2,000 career points, just an absolute. I mean, the best career we've seen in this league. Probably the Michael Jordan of this league. And then we got Devon Pratt coming back, MVP, just one of the best shooters we've seen in this league, a clutch player. And, we love Pratt. He brings the energy, just similar to Eric Langston. He brings something to this league that just makes it special. And then we got guys, speaking of Eric Langston on this team. We got Dave coming from Run TMC. Then we got Dave Armstrong coming back in the league, who, if you followed the league before, you know him. You know Brill Chisholm. Don't know if I got his name right, but hey, Brill, I tried, right? Then we got Rel listed on this team. Is Rel going to show up? Who knows? I mean, I'm going to start a hashtag, where's Terrell? But I mean, look, you got Jelly. I mean, this team's absolutely stacked. Then you got Jay Velez. Shout out Jay. We love him. You got Randy Kahn, who's kind of a wild card. We don't know Randy. But, I mean, look, this is going to be just like Get Money, the same thing. We know what this team can do. This team has all the household names. Is this team going to be the Golden State Warriors with KD, or are they going to be the Lakers with Dwight and Steve Nash and the Nets with Paul Pierce and KG? I don't know. We're going to find out. But the Chris Rosinski 2.0 team is looking good. I'm completely kidding with that comment. That was a joke. But honestly, I'm really excited to see Yagaville because they got some of the best players we've ever seen in this league. And when you're playing this team, you better bring an insane amount of energy and you better be ready to play. Because if you don't lock in when you're playing Yaga, it's going to be a long night with Eric Langston, Devon Pratt, and these boys out there.
Yeah, and we were just talking you just mentioned if we were handicapping, the season's, title contenders and all that.
Yeah.
It's tough to put this team anywhere other than first place in terms of where they're going to fall on the odds sheet. They're going to be, the least value that you're going to get. They're going to be big favorites, in my opinion. And that might piss off some of the other teams. I get it. Listen, there's contenders, and then there's the top dog. I would put this team right now coming into this season as the top dog. For me, what put this team over the top is obviously you bring back the heart and soul of Yaga's championship roster, the Shocker City roster, right? You got Mike Davis and Pratt, Eric Langston and Armstrong. I mean, so much size, so much shooting in that quad, the quad sum. I don't know what how do you pronounce
it?
that?
Yeah, it's hard to say in Legacy.
The quadruplets, I guess.
Yeah, the quadruplets.
But yeah, those 4 guys, obviously a lot of size, a lot of shooting. But then you had Jelly, man. I mean, Jelly last season, he reminds me, they were calling him James Harden, and then it perfectly started to fit the bill. And I was like, yeah, you guys were calling him James Harden. I think they were doing that as a troll, with the foul drawing and all that. But, bro, the James Harden I was watching was Houston James Harden when I was watching Jelly ball out for the Legacy Leagues last season. I mean, what an absolute stud of a player. you put him on a roster that's already won championships with a lot of these players. And shout out to Jabril, like you said, man. Jabril, an old
Yeah.
time, going back to the OG days of legacy leagues, man. One of the familiar faces. It's been a few years since he's been in the league. Back with his days on the Brotherhood and whatnot, but now he's back. Shout out to Jabril, man. I've been friends with him on Facebook, I think, going back to like 2016. I know he's like really into boxing and stuff, so it's cool to
Yeah.
see him step back on the hardwood and get busy with these boys. It's going to be a fun roster to watch.
Yeah, no, and I also want to clarify, I was kidding about my Chris Rosinski 2.0 comments. Rosinski wishes he could put a roster this good together. Yaga is coming, and I can't wait to see them. I can't wait for him to hear that. All right, let's go to the next team, and we're going to a real team. No offense, Yaga, that's the Flint Tropics. The boys are back. And let me tell you something about Flint. We got some new faces coming on this team. We got Bizzuto back. We got TJ Gianni, Don Migliaro. You know what I mean? Yeah, the made men. But then we got Quan Jackson coming in. If you don't remember Quan Jackson, go to your library, open a history book, and then read up on your history, because he was a monster for No Limit. And I heard he can dunk on 10 feet, so that's all you need to know. I'd let him date my daughter. Maybe not. I don't know. Then we got Ryan Caggiano back, the heart and soul of the team. And that's something that, this is where I'm not kidding. Yaga, they're going to need their heart and soul, because they got Pratt, they got Langston and all those guys, but they are that's the only reason I'm saying it's interesting about the Yaga team, and it's going to be a common theme with these next few teams, is there's a mix and mash of a lot of guys from a lot of teams, and this is where we come into the Flint side of that with a few new guys: Ricky Rogers, Pat Drury, and Matt Finke. I know nothing about these guys. I'm assuming these guys are going to be some pretty damn good ballers, especially if Flint was willing to get rid of, they're all a family over there at Flint. And there's a lot of guys that aren't on this Flint roster that we're accustomed to seeing every single year in the Legacy League. So it's going to be very interesting to see what these new players can bring to the table, because last year, love my boys Flint, but I think they'd agree with me, it seemed like they were just missing something. TJ had a great year. Bizzuto was hurt, so you didn't really see him. He had a terrible playoff game, but it just wasn't really – he didn't really have any time to come in. So I'm very interested to see how these guys kind of mix and match with Flint. Shout out my boys. They're going to be winning it all. Calling it now. Connor, who you got? And, well, not really who you got, but what do you think?
What do I think?
I'm getting ahead of myself.
Greg's already making his championship prediction, and you already know it's this team right here. But yeah, Greg, you said there was like a missing piece, right? It felt like with this team, and in years past, obviously, like this team had a lot of explosion, a lot of explosive offensive production, right? And Mike Bizzuto was a guy that you did not want to see at the rim when he was on offense with the ball in his hands. A lot of posters coming from him. A lot of posters came from Don Migliaro. But obviously, Mike was recovering from a really bad knee injury last season. We really didn't even see him until late in the year. And at that point, he was really just he was basically a cone on defense. They were trying to just play around him on defense. He didn't have a ton of mobility, and on offense, he was just kind of relegated himself to perimeter shooting. So it'll be interesting to see. Does Mike have that explosiveness back to his game, driving the rim, getting to the basket? If he does, that right there would be probably enough to give this team a lot better chance than they had last year already. But man, that's what I think with Quan, what he can provide. We already know that he, like you said, back to his days with No Limit, extremely ferocious going to the basket. Very good handle, very quick on the perimeter. Do not reach. He will absolutely go right by you. So you got to keep him in front of you. You got to do your best to let him shoot, because he's going to be unstoppable going to the rim. And he's a very good shooter from what I remember, too. It might not be the strong suit of his game, but he's very capable out there. So you can't disrespect him. He's going to be an offensive weapon that this team would have gladly had in the postseason last year and might have really changed, their destiny. But now with him coming into a fresh season, you already bring back a lot of the boys that this team has won a championship with in the past. So, there's no reason to say why this team shouldn't be in the top half of the league for the entire duration of the season. They got off to a great start last year, kind of faded in the second half heading into the playoffs. But I think with this roster and the way they constructed this, bringing in that piece like Quan, I think he's really a pivotal piece for them that's going to put them over the top in terms of their ability to reach a new high water mark in comparison to last season. So I really like this Flint roster, Greg. I know you're going to be psyched up about them. And, I'm excited to see TJ shoot some threes, see these guys more than anything that they do on the court, Greg. These guys are great guys, right?
Yep.
But one thing I'm noticing is as I'm looking at this, Greg, where's my boy Nick Japs?
Yeah. No Nick Japs, a big. That's why I'm wondering, I mean, I'm sure he's just like, yeah, I can't do it. Look, I mean, you got to wonder what Ricky, Pat, and Matt are going to bring. It sounded like a nursery rhyme, but what they're going to bring to the table.
Yeah, so no Nick Japs. He was like an MVP contender last season. He was
Yeah.
phenomenal. His mid-range, little turnaround hook shots.
Offensive player of the year.
Yeah, there you go. So I'm glad you caught that. That's definitely a loss, but like you said, there's some X factors here that we're going to see. I remember they had a guy that was showing up, Greg, last year and watching their games, and the guys were talking to me on Flint. They said, "Hey, you see our boy over there?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah." And they're like, dude, like probably like one of the best players that we all know. So maybe one of those guys is one of these players that we're looking at. We don't know. So, like you said, X factors, right? New teams, new players, new faces that we are not familiar with. We really can't go into too much detail at this moment in time. But that's why the first night of Legacy Leagues is always one of my favorite nights. There's so many stories that unfold right in front of your eyes week one, Thursday night. So I'm pumped for that. So, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, I agree, and can't wait to see all those teams. Some big title contending teams in that top five we just went through. Um, and excited to see my boys Flint, and excited to see Yagerville, Get Money, FD Ballers, and TMC and Co. But now we're getting to another team that's mixed mashed. Shout out to our guy Sexy Lexi. I'm gonna say that once I got him, I know he'll be hyped to hear that. And we got Lord's Army coming in. Jacob Morales, team captain, coming in with the squad. We got Alex Rivera back, Sean Cita, Jaquan Bromell, and then we got some new guys. We got EJ Linton, we got Jason Green, we got Anthony DiNatale, and we got Demetrius Gordon, who, I don't know much about. I see some pretty big jersey sizes here, but, what I can tell you about this team is Morales, great player, can attack the rim. He's a high flyer in this league, one of the best dunkers we got. He's great on the defensive end. I think he's really coming into his own on that side of the ball. And then Sean Cita really played well at the end of last year, was clutch in the playoffs. And then you got Jaquan Bromell, who just, I mean, look, he's probably the tallest guy in the league. His wingspan's unreal. If he could find out, a little more game away from the rim, and just because, everyone knows kind of what's coming with him. And then you got Alex Rivera, who's just coming into his own, figuring it out. But for the rest of the guys, I can't say it. But I'm very interested to see this Lord's Army team because I don't know what they're going to be bringing to the table. There's some guys who I love on this team, but it's going to be exciting to see. And let me look quick. First week, Lord's Army, they got Run TMC week one. So that's going to be a really good matchup for them because a lot of these guys have played TMC. A few haven't, and it's going to be, that's a good first week test. So, Connor, Lord's Army, how you feeling about Jesus?
Yeah, man. Shout out Jacob. Pretty sure that's his clothing
Yep.
brand that he started.
Okay.
And definitely a really great guy. And we wrote up a
Yep.
story about him where his roots came from and his service work that he did in the military. So always a guy that we're gonna love to support, and really cool to see him kind of branding his team with this kind of entrepreneurial spirit that he's doing off the court. So that's awesome. So shout out to Jacob. And
Agreed. Also, can we just
yeah.
look at Jaquan Bromell's number? You gotta be kidding.
Is he number 69? Is that Jaquan?
Come on,
Oh
Jaquan.
yeah, come on, baby. He's a character, man. He's always
That's
a good laugh. He's funny as hell when he's out there. He's always chatting it up with the boys on the sidelines. He's chatting it up with the other team.
Yep.
He's a great time, man. I was gonna mention him too, because let's be real, man. Not only is he a good dude, but he's a great basketball player, and I'm pretty sure he was like he's like a Olympic, or not. I don't want to say Olympic star, but he was like a track star. Like he's like a long jumper or something. I forgot what somebody told me last year, but just an insane athlete. And you definitely notice that when you watch him. I mean, one of the best dunkers in the league. Anytime he was playing, if I was recording clips, you basically just follow him around and you get like 6 or 7 insane highlights that could potentially go viral on any given night. An insane athlete. Really good to see Jacob get him on the roster. But a lot of these guys, Greg, like you said, some names that we don't know. But knowing the way Jake's created his teams in the past, I'm sure these guys are really good hoopers. Like you said, Sean Seda was a really solid player on that team last year. Now, depending on how these other players are with their talent, Maybe he's elevated in a role that, because he was kind of a role player that would go off and burst in random moments in games. Maybe he has more of a pivotal role on this team, and he got the ball in his hands a little bit more, and you might see an uptick in his production. Some of these guys that we don't know, like I said, tough to analyze, but just going off of Jake's history as a GM, I would assume these guys are good players, and I'm really excited to see them week one against TMC. I think it'll be a good, test to see where they rank in terms of those upper echelon of teams that we already know run TMC. We have to give them that respect. They're going to be in that upper echelon, right? So where they fall in the rankings, we get to tell week one when they go up against them head to head. So once again, just another team I'm really intrigued by. Can't wait to see them play and see where they fall amongst the crew.
Yeah, no, I agree. Shout out Lord's Army. Shout out Jacob. I'm excited to see them. And another team I'm really excited to see is NLMB. I'm very excited. This is another mishmash team that's coming back with a lot of guys. You got Alex Willis, who was on the first iteration to Get Money, who then split up, made a new team, and now they're back with NLMB over with Dante Hodge, who is an elite shooter, won the three-point contest last year, just an absolute monster. Then you got James Harrington coming back, who was injured for a majority of his first year. So it's going to be really good to see him get a healthy year. I think he's a really good player. And then you got new guys. Jamar Peterson, I see that double XL, so he could be a big guy for them. They got Andrew Murray, Regime King, Savon Wheeler, Freddie Espanol. I mean, look, I'm excited to see. This is another, it's kind of like what Connor said with Jake being a good GM. What James and Alex have done with their teams. They started off slow last year. And then they just, their teams have always been grinders, always just kind of have been technically sound teams, and they've always pushed the better teams to the brink. And now we kind of got a little mishmash of a team here. We got some new faces I'm excited to see. I mean, these new teams always get us excited because you just don't know. But Connor and LMB, what do you see?
Yeah, and I talked to Alex Willis last season, and I said, hey, Alex, like, you were a really good player on Get Money. You went all the way to the championship. Like, why did you break off and make your own team? And I think if I remember correctly, he basically told me that some of the players that he was playing with last season were his family members. I think whether they were cousins or brothers or, however that works. I'm pretty sure he said that they were some of the people within his family that wanted to get into the league, and just wasn't enough roster spots on Get Money, so he made his own team with them. And I'm pretty sure NLMB would mean Never Leave My Brothers. I'm pretty sure I've seen that acronym somewhere before. So that would kind of mesh with that family thing, that I'm going after here. So that's just kind of all speculation. We'll see what this roster is consisted of, obviously, on opening night. But Dante Hodge, right, a key part of
Yep.
this team. If I'm remembering correctly, Greg, he went crazy, right, last year in the All-Star night with
Crazy.
the three-point contest, and he did not miss, and then he carried that right into the All-Star game. He really came on strong, and me and you talked about all year long about his shot form was so beautiful, and it was sometimes we see these guys, Greg, we know they know how to shoot on 10. You can just tell, and then it's just a matter of getting a lot of shots over the period of time as the season goes along, where you really start to dial it in, and you can tell by the end of the season his shot was so dialed in. He really changed his game as that happened for him. So it'll be great now to see him come in with a season under his belt. He's going to be firing up those threes from night one, and probably a contender to lead the league in three-pointers made if he was shooting it like he was at the end of the year last year. Another great athlete, a little guy, but he gets up, right? And a little guy who's really quick, really bouncy. And a lot of these other guys, like you said, new faces. So we'll see how these guys how they all mesh together. I'm sure Alex Willis is going to be out there doing a lot of work. He's a great player himself. So another team, man. Let's see how they do. I'm excited for him.
Yeah, never forget Dante Hodge last year against Flint dropped 41 on 15 of 18 shooting, 11 of 14 from three. So Dante Hodge can get hot and be one of the best players in this league when he gets hot. He's like Steph out there. He's just untouchable. So I'm excited to see NLMB. Never leave your brothers behind. This is on God. And let's move on to the next team. And the final team, it's our guy, Rico Santiago, rebranding again. We got Team YOLO, and we got my guy Rico back. We got Gregory Clay back. I think that's it. I believe those are the only the names I recognize. Then we got Jamar Petty, we got Xavier Bonilla, Kenny Melendez, James Kirby, and Tremaine Bembry. Knowing Rico, he gets guys that are always lengthy, always athletic, always, kind of know what they're doing out there. And it's going to be kind of interesting to see what he's bringing to the table because he's had two very different variations of teams in this league. So I'm excited to see what they got. Speaking of first week games, they have Yagaville week 1. So it's going to be a really good test for them because they're going to be coming into a Yagaville team who hasn't played in Legacy in a while, a few of them, but a few of them have played in Legacy, mainly Eric Langston, who just had one of his best seasons. So, Connor, what do you see from our guy Rico and Team YOLO?
Yeah, man, Team Yo, I was just trying to look it up, Greg, and I can't remember the kid's name, but when I start to describe him too, you'll know who exactly who I'm talking about. They had that young kid last
Yep.
year, and he looked like he was like 15 or 16 years old and just giving dudes buckets. Really young kid.
Jose Suarez
It might have been Jose
or
Suarez.
Javon Morias.
Oh, maybe it was.
It
Oh,
was one of the two, but
one of the
Javion
two.
went off against
Now that
Get
you say
Money.
Marias, I'm starting to think it's Marias, and I feel bad.
Yeah.
But there's so many teams over the course of seasons that the names sometimes, they get lost in the shuffle for us.
Yeah.
We're getting old, Greg. Our brains don't work as well as they
Amen.
used to. But yeah, you know what I'm talking about. That kid was a hooper, and
Yep.
I'm not seeing his name on the list, so it makes me a little bit sad because I was excited to see his development in his second season because he really came on strong. It's kind of like Dante Hodge, man, that second half, where I was just talking about. It's excited to see guys who really finished the season strong come into the next season and see if they can pick it up right where they left off. And he was one of those players I was really looking forward to seeing. So a loss in terms of the production that they would have had with a player like that. But Rico's a great player in himself. I'm sure once again, like we're talking about with these other guys like Jake and Alex, they might have brought back a few guys that we recognize, but a lot of new faces as well. And you got to put your trust in them that they put quality bodies around them. We're coming off a season, Greg, where we had so much parity within the league, probably more than ever before. There was like such an even amount of competition. The playoffs themselves, like even the first round, in years past, sometimes the first round is really a little bit of a wash besides those like middle
Yeah.
seed matchups. But there were some really lopsided games in the first round. The top seeds were getting basically free wins in the first round. It wasn't like that last year. There was a lot of parity, a lot of upset potential, and if we're just going off that trend, I'm thinking that we really might be in for another exciting season. A lot to look forward to. I'm just really interested to see how all these teams come into the fold and where they fall in terms of the power rankings and all that. So just exciting, Greg. Just a really exciting time, and yeah, that's pretty much all I can really say is just a lot of good vibes heading into the season.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think this is going to be a fun year. I think the power rankings are going to change a lot this year. I think this is a very open season. A lot of familiar faces are back, a lot of new faces on old teams, iconic teams. It's going to be a very interesting year. So before we get out of here, I had to do it.
I love that.
Championship picks. For right now, we can change it. Obviously, we'll make the picks before the playoffs, but preseason pick, Connor. You can take a team, you can take a matchup. You can pick a finals MVP if you want. Who you got?
Yeah, I love it. I'll do both. I'll go out on a limb. I'm pretty good at this. In years past, I had a pretty good success rate. I was off last year. I had Get Money, and I was off the year Flint won. But both years, my
Yeah.
championship pick was in the championship. So I've
Mm-hmm.
always picked a team that at least makes it there. I'm pretty much 100% on that much. So this is a lot of pressure, and I'd be stupid to keep my name and my record high as it is. I gotta go chalk. I'm sorry, but Yagaville is gonna be in the championship.
Wow.
Yagaville is gonna be there. They're gonna be going up against. Oh man, this is tough. It's tough.
A lot of teams are going to
There's a
be
lot
like,
of
just
teams, man,
fucking
but
in.
I've
Pick us.
always I've always rode with my boys, dude. I'm going Get Money. I gotta be on brand. Yagaville versus Get Money. That's basically a championship rematch from 2 seasons ago, if I'm not mistaken. Um, at least a lot of those players will be going head to head, but that would be crazy because Kyle will be going up against the team that he won a championship
Yep.
for. That would be a really cool storyline. But with that being said, man, the championship winner. It sucks to go against Get Money, man, but I would have to put my eggs in the basket of Yagaville. And when it comes to that, in terms of a
Um,
spread, I don't know. Maybe you take Get Money with the points if we capped it with some points there, but obviously we won't be able to cap that until that potential matchup ever came to fruition. So that's my championship. Yagaville winning a close game over Get Money.
I like it. I like it. I'm gonna choose two teams you didn't. Just throw it up a little bit. Shout out Yaga and Get Money. Two great teams. I'm gonna go with Flint winning the chip because they're dominating all these bums. Just kidding. You guys aren't bums. We love you all. We're such a family. But let's go Flint. Flint's gonna take it out. And I am gonna say in crazy fashion that Lord's Army is in the chip versus Flint, and Flint is going to take it. And I got an MVP in the chip from TJ Gianni. He goes crazy. Klay Thompson, performance, dropping like 11 threes. Just crazy game from TJ, and I got my boys, the Flint Choppers, taking it. I just think these new guys they're adding with the addition of Quan is going to take them over the top, but we're going crazy. That's what That's what preseason picks are for. It's to have some fun. But I couldn't be more excited for this Winter 25 CT season. We start this Thursday. It's going to be an amazing one. Before we get out of here, I'll go over the games quick. Connor, we'll do rapid fire. I'm going to say this game. You tell me who you think's winning. FD Ballers Get Money.
Get Money.
Me too. I agree. Flint Tropics and LMB.
Ooh, Flint Tropics.
It's a good one, right?
Very good one.
TMC Lord's Army.
Man, TMC.
TMC. I agree. TMC, but
Yeah.
Yagaville YOLO.
Yagaville.
I agree. Connor, you got anything else?
All I just want to say is Chris Rosinski, shout out to Chris, should be here in spirit right now. Chris organized this and wanted to be here tonight, could not make it due to some work scheduling conflicts. So hopefully, for people that don't know, Chris will probably be seen a lot more this season. Obviously, a long-time GM and player in the Legacy Leagues. Anyone that's been around Legacy Leagues for a while definitely knows Chris and the antics that he brings. He should be kind of on some more of the content side of things this season. He moved in the off season. He's down south now. So hopefully we get him on here, Greg, for some future some post games or some podcasts. But me, you, and Chris, that's a trio that goes back a long ways. So that'll be fun. So shout out to Chris. Couldn't be here, but we'll be watching his team, his Yagaville team that he helped create the core of in action all season long. I'm sure he'll be rooting for those boys, but. Yeah, so I just wanted to kind of preview what we got coming for our listeners this season. Definitely going to have some good content, and definitely got some good highlights coming because there's going to be a lot of high flying dunks, a lot of really good shooting from the outside, good passing. I'm excited, man. A lot of talent in this league. It always is a great time, and really just glad to be back with my boy Greg breaking it all down again.
No, yeah, I agree, and I like what you said. The talent this year is. A lot of talents back in this league. I think there's a lot of new talent that's going to be good. And, we'll have Rosinski on the post-game. I bet you this first week post-game show will be nice. And we'll get a nice little squad. We'll get some of the interns on here, see what they're – because you never know with an intern. They could love – Team YOLO could be one of these interns' favorite teams. They could be an NLMB guy or girl. You don't know. Or them. Who knows? Legacy Leagues. We're inclusive. But for Greg Horne, Connor Sauer, Joey Zacco, the whole Legacy Leagues family, we're so happy to be back for the CT Winter 25 season. Shout out you all. Appreciate it.